Hey guys, Stray Games here again. This is going to be what if Aang had every bending ability. I'm talking about every side, every like category of it, like earth, air, water, fire, all that. Obviously, he's Avatar. I'm talking about like chi bending or energy bending, but also their side categories. Like for water bending, it's healing, blood bending, psychic blood bending, spirit bending. For air bending, it'd be astral projection and flight. Earth bending, it'd be lava bending, metal bending, and seismic location. I'm gonna call it echolocation because I like it. Fire bending, it'd be combustion bending, lightning redirection. There's a scene I believe, and also in Legend of Korra, where they use fire to heal. So Aang would have all those abilities. So yeah, but I also made a bit of my own abilities. So I made 3 of them. So yeah. Also, Aang's flames, a reference, would be blue. So, yeah. Now, basically, in this one, when Aang is born and the monks basically try to force him to only train, Aang quickly became a master of the arts quickly. But also, all his Avatar spirits try to basically infuse him with his talent, because they know that Ozai is likely a bigger threat than Sozin was. So with this, with them giving Aang all their abilities that they can to save the world from Sozin, not from Sozin, from Ozai, well, Aang already has a natural talent for basically the basics of earth, air, water, fire. But the elders making him train so hard to the point where Aang's not even a child. He's not even allowed to interact with other children. Monk Gyatso eventually walk into the chambers, while the elders are like, Gyatso, what do you think you're doing? Don't let the boy leave until tonight when he's done training. Gyatso says, no, I will not let the boy stay here confined to a room. The elders try to attack him. Quickly, Gyatso unveiled his cloak, before just bending it at the elders, flinging pies in their faces. Before they can react, he kicks them all quickly into a wall, taking them all out relatively quickly, telling them that he's the strongest out of them all. If they wish to decide otherwise, he'll correct them once more. By simply saying, you all wish to challenge me again, I would not mind hurting you more. Treat Aang as if he's my own grandson, and I will defend him as such. He walked in, pushing Aang's door down, simply just raw might, and told Aang, get on Appa, we're leaving. And he nodded before running to get on Appa, and Gyatso would fly to find Roku, his grave at least, or land where he had died. As they find Roku's island, they kind of stay there for a bit. Now the Firebenders aren't really here right now because, well, kind of an ancient ground in their opinion. About to plug my phone in, so actually anything else on the screen, my bad. But yeah. So, on Roku's island, Gyatso tries to get Aang in touch with Roku by firebending. He wants to give Aang a brief reminder actually and in firebending that Roku does give him the basics and tells him how to do it. Which Gyatso writes down, which Aang was not aware of. Then going forward, Aang is brought to the Northern Water Tribe, where he then learns more and more bending. Orbis says he connects with the spirits. But the spirits press Avatar from their precious locations. Everything they need down, via like Yang Chen, Kyoshi, Karuk, Roku. He gets all that down. And eventually, Aang gets us notes on all of it while Aang has a few tips floating in his head. But then Gyatso would bring Aang somewhere sacred. He brings Aang to all the living lion turtles. Now, Aang, the lion turtle all tell Aang, you already have our gifts, what more would you like? The Avatar, we already know there's Ozai is the current Fire Lord, but the current one thinks he's more fit than Sozin. I just realized that. I forget the time of Avatar's all weird sometimes. But they think every Fire Lord gets more threatening than Ozai, or than Sozin, including his current one. What I think is actually currently Sozin, actually, never mind. The current one's Sozin. I guess they want to stop Sozin. But yeah. So, Aang, while he's here, decides to actually train a lot harder because the Fire Nation is getting a lot bigger, Sozin's still getting more threatening, so and so. But, yeah. After Aang basically gets, all the Lion Turtles give him, like, the mastery of their elements, letting Aang basically in a bit of a gift, allowing him to enhance side categories, or learn it. From the center of Aang's forehead, where his arrow would end, there is a small red dot. That red dot allows Aang to fire off a blast from his head that causes a giant explosion. And Aang appreciates that, so, yeah. But also, Lion Turtles will also teach Aang some subcategories, being water the lion turtle teach Aang how to heal, but also how to control spirits, as Aang had learned that as well. But by default, Aang had also learned blood bending, which he does not use at all. He does not like it. Then there's also airbending. When it came to that turtle, Aang just simply learned flight and astral projection. Aang learned flight by actually emptying out his body and somewhat entering a pseudo avatar state. And eventually Aang goes on and on to learn the abilities of other lion turtles until he's 12 years old, where Aang has a decently muscular build, similar to how he's built in the end of the Avatar story, just not as tall, or at least in the Avatar comics, like Legend of Avatar Aang, not Korra. So Aang has like a pretty muscular build from how Gyatso trains him. But eventually, Gyatso tells Aang, head back to Kyoshi Island, because that's the only place where Aang has not mastered full waterbending. Aang still has a bit of ice training to do. And Aang had gotten it down pretty well, but he should go back there for a bit of training. And it's for plot's sake, don't mind it. But Aang's going there, well, our soldiers had heard that Aang was on his way to the Northern Water Tribe. And they're all kind of in a storm, which leads to a war versus a Fire Nation platoon and Aang. As they fight, the fight just creates more and more of a storm, which Aang's pretty easily winning the fight, but the storm is hurting Appa. Aang can fly, but Appa prefers to travel with him. Which leads to Aang surrounding the entire area with, wind, and then controlling spirits to freeze the entire area. He wanted to preserve life, so he preserved more life with him. But because Aang's the Avatar and he's built different, he survives the ice, other soldiers don't. Their bones, and just by the time that's unlocked, they're basically just frozen corpses that are zombies for a minute or two in front of Sokka and Katara. Which scares the hell out of the two, but still. But yeah. And Gyatso already heard that Aang is gone, which makes him sad. But he heard that Aang was gone. He heard that there was basically a war between Aang and fire soldiers that were trying to attack the Northern Water Tribe. And all everyone knows that Aang didn't win or lose. They don't know if he's alive or dead. They just know there's a giant bright light, and over 1,000 fire soldiers went missing that day. Which everyone's shocked that Aang could take out 1,000 fire soldiers, was the current Fire Lord, assuming it's maybe Sozin, is like, oh, if I were to fight the Avatar, I'd be dead. I can't take on that many fire soldiers. He could. I'm amazing. He's amazing. So yeah. Pause real quick. So Katara, Sokka, they release Aang by accident, and the fire soldiers that were around basically see zombies. And but Aang eventually had recovered, and when he recovered, he just hit the ground with a palm strike, sending all the zombies back into the ocean. And Appa gets up, and Aang's like, oh yeah, he can fly. So can I at least, but still. Sokka still doesn't believe it, but when Aang realizes Appa's cold, Aang just inhaled, then breathed in the air as much as he could. But before they realized, they think he's a firebender, like the other ones. But suddenly one hand had flung water straight into the flames, making steam. Aang would turn the steam around Appa's body for around a minute or two by controlling it. This is Aang's sub-bending category, called steam bending, where he would basically shoot fire out of his mouth, flowing water into it from the source or just the air, and create steam. Then uses the wind from both the pressure of the flames and the water to move it around properly. Sorry about that. But yeah, so he just controls the air generated by the steam's creation, and and keeps it hot all the time, so it works for him. But this leads to Aang cleaning on Appa's muscles and everything, making Appa in tip-top shape. He would then even use spirit bending to bring Appa to tip-top shape physically as well. With this, Aang jumps on Appa and tells Katara and Sokka to hop on. He'll bring their boat up. Confuses them until Aang just waves one hand up in the air, and the boat is flung right into one hand on him. Aang can hold up Aang has pretty decent physical strength. I say physically, he can probably lift about 500 pounds maximum. I think that's pretty good strength. He's a really, really well-built kid. What you see in this picture right here is relatively what Aang looks like. So yeah. So with this, also Aang does grow his hair in and out occasionally because he doesn't really consider himself an airbender master. He considers himself a master of the world. So yeah. But he's not a traditional airbender. He'll occasionally let his hair grow out to show that he's not just an airbender. So yeah. It's something he picked up from Gyatso, but yeah. So yeah. Now, eventually Aang would go on and, as Aang goes on with Sokka and Katara, and they arrive, Well, Sokka kind of begins showing off his sexist side to Aang, and with Aang traveling the world, he simply told Sokka, it's been 100 years. Sokka's behavior should have been left 100 years ago. Katara can just chuckles at Aang's remark as Sokka says, what makes you so high and mighty? This is not like you ever talked to a girl. Aang says, actually, when I was around 100 years ago, I was pretty popular with Fire Nation women. Same for Earthbending women. Immediately Sokka froze, saying, two different women of two different nations liked you. Aang says, yeah, that's pretty respectful. Maybe I could teach you a thing or two. Aang had inherited Gyatso's smart mouth. So, because he was with Gyatso for like 3 years. So, yeah. Or Gyatso and him were kind of on a road trip for 3 years. Where he met Bumi and everything, too. So, yeah. Aang displayed his actual ability to be able to fly, which impressed all the villagers and everything. And, yeah, this time Aang isn't really expelled from Southern Water Tribe. Instead, he's going out to get them food, as they had asked him, they asked him to get him food. And Aang is a vegan, but he will hunt for them because, well, they asked him to be. They asked him nicely. So yeah. So as Aang arrives, he basically gives them food, only to see Zuko arrive. Zuko arrived like a minute after Aang did. At least the soldiers wanting to fight Aang, but they do ask him if he's really the Avatar from 100 years ago, and he says yes. And from what he saw around the area, there's over 1,000 destroyed Fire Nation soldiers and over 5 sunken ships. They really think they can fight him as they are now. Namely, in the village heard that Aang took down 1,000 Fire Nation soldiers before he was frozen, and Zuko then smirks, assuming if it light was probably Aang freezing himself with spirit energy, saying, so, you didn't take them out, your Avatar form did. Aang smirked before saying, I guess so, but take this first. Aang shut up blast the flames, as Zuko immediately jumped away, not noticing that Aang was also a firebender. No one knew of Aang's adventures around the world besides the villages he went to, or the nations he went to. Besides the Fire Nation, Sozin didn't know where Aang went. All he knew that Aang was in the Fire Nation, they tracked him from there on, but they couldn't pinpoint every location. So yeah. So Aang eventually kind of felt a blast of flames at Zuko. He dodged easily, but he didn't know that Aang's flames were blue. But suddenly, the smoke from the flames went around Zuko's face and up his nose. Zuko began actually choking on it, only for Aang to run up and dropkick him in the chest. Instead of the kick connecting, a blast of wind shot out Zuko's chest, not knocking the wind out of him. The more Fire Nation soldiers tried to use their flames against Aang and then throw spears, or for Aang to inhale and breathe flames all over them. Now, he doesn't want to burn them all. Their weapons are burned and melted by these flames because they're blue and they're really hot. Now, this actually shocked Iroh. Aang just jumped in the air doing a series of kicks right to their faces, blowing off their helmets and knocking them to the ground. As soon as Aang landed, he killed them a bunch of cowards and told them to leave, which they do. So as they leave, Aang tries to, leave them be now. So, yeah. Now go forward again. We'll go forward once more. So, yeah. Now, Iroh's looking at Aang, actually asking him if he started to mess with that element. And Aang says he mastered them before he froze himself. And Iroh asks, how'd you freeze them? Sozin was around, or how'd you learn to master them around that time in Firebending? Sozin was around. And Aang simply says, he visited the lion turtles, which he believes are still around today. And he knows that Iroh's different, he can feel his spirit. He's willing to bring Iroh to a spirit turtle, or bring his nephew to enlighten him. He knows his nephew's pride is important, but it's not as important as a war. And Iroh begins talking to Aang, which Zuko overhears the entire thing. Zuko's not knocked out. He's just panicking on the ground, trying to breathe. But he hears the entire conversation of Iroh about Zuko and his pride. Well, the noble soldier actually knocked out, but Zuko decides to get up. Iroh turned around before telling the soldiers, get up, we're leaving. He's too strong, and I'm not raising a fist to the Avatar. On the boat, Zuko actually asks his uncle, are you serious? You bring me to a lion turtle with the Avatar, my sworn enemy? And Iroh says, he's not your enemy, Zuko. He's your father's enemy. And you don't know it yet, but your father cares for your sister more than he cares for you. Don't try to appease him. Try to appease his petty goals that happened to him, his grandfather, everyone before him. Don't get yourself wrapped up in that lineage. Your father has chosen who he wants to continue it, and it's not you. I want you to continue my path, Zuko. Continue the path of enlightenment and caring and love for the world. Not one nation, not one man. And Zuko actually felt that Iroh was mad at him. But Iroh is never mad at Zuko. He wanted to give Zuko a strong opinion with strong emotion. So with this, Zuko had to think about this for a minute. With this, Aang tries to tell the village that he's going to hide them. They do ask how he hides. He's going to hide them quickly. Aang had put his hand on the ground and waved them. With all this, the wind and water bending combined allows them to move snow and ice without harming a single member of the village or a single place in it. Moving the village around until they reach a very far back location. But Aang says on his travels to this location that's relatively hidden by caves, walls with ice, and everything. There's even more food here. But also, he's willing to send a message on to the soldiers if he could find any. They thank him, and they give him a letter that he should pass on. But Aang gives it to Sokka, telling him, our Sokka has not been useful besides teaching kids foe tricks. So he'll train Sokka until he's ready to carry a scroll meant for warriors. This made Katara kind of chuckle, but Sokka felt that he needed to actually learn how to fight properly from a man who's obviously a skilled warrior. As Aang mixes in his martial arts, more or less Tai Chi, Shaolin Kung Fu. Actually, hold up. So yeah, some martial arts that Aang would use consist of Tai Chi, Shaolin Kung Fu, MMA, and MMA guys are like, what do you mean MMA? That's used in Legend of Korra. That's what this Firebending based off of is MMA, or most fighting styles seen in the UFC. Modern day, that is. So Aang kind of uses Firebending techniques to fight against obviously non-experienced benders. Like, say for example, prison guards that's been fighting on Fire Nation. They're not really ones on the battlefield all too often. So Aang would use Firebending. Not like too serious techniques, but enough to incapacitate a regular bender. So, yeah. But yeah, then there's Hungar, or self-defense Kung Fu, Hungar, or self-defense Kung Fu, but Aang also combines it with Dragon Kung Fu, as Aang had met dragons before. He's been learned for 3 years, experiencing physical beings or spiritual beings. He learned spirit bending. He had to learn to go to the spirit world. Aang has met dragons. He's sparred with them. He's fought with them. So yeah. Well, also, Aang knows Bagwan Zhang, which is basically just building up ki and energy as you fight, and then exerting it as a force, in my opinion. That's what I'd phrase it as. So, yeah. One other martial that I include for Aang is actually kind of like, if he's actually going to take a serious fight, which he does do, because, Gyatso would encourage him to fight, but try to fight on the defensive. Aang would likely use like a defense very similar to actually boxing, or putting up a boxing guard. Using an attack, you combine earth and air bending. So, yeah, boxing he really ever uses, but he knows how to do it. He's pretty good at it, actually. So, yeah. But eventually, Aang and Katara and Sokka head to the Southern Air Temple. Aang arrives. He's going to see all like the dead airbenders, but he goes in to see Gyatso's area, and immediately he sees that how many soldiers are dead at Gyatso's hand, which are a lot more than before. Gyatso's got maybe like 10, 20, maybe even 40 at the maximum. There's over 200 corpses of firebenders all around Gyatso. Aang simply just waved his hands in the air as fast as he could, and sent them all down into the ground, before shooting up basically just a pillar of earth to trap them within a mountain behind. And Aang clears out all the corpses, trapping them in a mountain, before actually, giving all the monks a relatively safe burial. And for shits and giggles, Aang would eventually make a fresh pie on Gyatso's grave, but kick 4 more into the elders' graves. But he does say that, that's what we knew them as, so he's going to show them some respect that they showed him. But here, they see that Aang's obviously very mad, as Aang will go down to the area where all the Avatar statues are. He sits down in front of Kyoshi, and he's kind of in the middle of Kyoshi and, Yang Chen. There are probably avatars between them, but Aang sits in areas between them. But then introduces Avatar State, exuding all of his rage. Kyoshi and Yang Chen come forth, so do Karuk and Roku. And instead of telling them that he needs a good sparring match, he needs some more to test out his power against Fire Nation soldiers. Old ones killed Gyatso with only number 200, and 1,000 made him end a storm. Made him cause a storm and stop one permanently, while freezing him up for 100 years. He needs to know that he can take on enough soldiers to not do that again. With this, Aang fights against Kyoshi, Yang Chen, and Roku in his spirit form, and Karuk. Now, Karuk's pretty easily Aang's easiest dub. Yang Chen and Karuk were his first dubs. Kyoshi and him Kyoshi and Roku gave him the biggest push, till eventually Aang's able to use a ball of air that traps up all their attacks, but then infuses his own element, being chi as well, throws it at them, and sends them flying back into the spirit realm. Aang would pant, saying, "Alright, he can take down 4 former avatars. That should be enough." Sokka and Katara had heard this giant rustling going on, but they didn't see what was going on. But Aang set up before saying he defeated 4 avatars. He should be strong enough. Their eyes widen as Aang leaves the room, grabbing a razor and cutting off his hair. So with this, Aang also finds Momo. This is a plus for him. So I'll give him Momo as well. But yeah. Now what else? Shit, I forgot. I've been pretty sure the next step is Kyoshi Island. That'd be the next one, I believe. Pause. Okay, so yeah. Now Aang, Sokka, and Katara head to the island of Kyoshi, and they receive a very cold reception. So Aang simply says, if they wish, he can bring out Kyoshi. What do you mean to bring out Kyoshi? She brought out former avatars. Aang clasps his hands together before actually exercising his spirit, and he's able to create a duplicate of his own spirit that resembles Kyoshi, which proves that Aang's the avatar well enough he can bring out a past life. With this, they become Aang becomes somewhat of a celebrity. And Sokka is trying to learn humility here. He's already trying to. The one that Aang told him that Sokka could learn that in the Southern Water Tribe. Sokka is here trying to do a bit more, not even being rude to the girls. But he actually tells them what he's doing. They offer to help him on his quest to humility. At least Suki liking him a bit more, actually. Instead of being a small kiss before he has to leave, it's more of a make-out session and then a small kiss after he needs to leave. So yeah. Sokka is already a backbender by this arc. So yeah. And then eventually it goes down to probably just, them having to leave because of Fire Nation soldiers. Quickly Aang him in the air before using earthbending, or he flies and uses earthbending to move the island in an entire new direction. But while he's doing it, he protects the island perfectly, but he uses one hand to basically send them flying with a whole different direction, while he uses the other hand to stabilize everything perfectly. So they don't even feel like they're moving. But the French soldiers have to redirect their entire ship, which Aang flies past them, and sinks most of their ships. So yeah. The Kyoshi warriors have a decent amount of time to prepare before Zuko and Iroh get to the island. So, yeah. But this leads to them also going to head to Omashu, where they meet King Bumi. When Aang walked in, though, he saw Bumi and felt his spirit, and immediately yelled, "Bumi!" Bumi just yelled, "Aang!" Immediately Aang and him kind of clash fists, before Bumi asks him where he's been for 100 years. Aang simply tells him that he's been training. He says, "No, you haven't. You've been trapped. I know it. You still 12 years old." I'll be it. You're muscular. And he says, "Yes, thank you, but yes, yeah, I was definitely trapped." This is a very just jokingly funny look on his face. And Bumi learns that Aang's already a master of earthbending because how we met him. Aang was the one that taught Bumi how to earthbend pretty well at first. So yeah. With this, Aang's actually able to convince Bumi to let them stay there for the same amount of time they do in canon. But more or less, Bumi has Sokka trained by the guards that he has. Bumi's guards, the most elite guards, train Sokka in hand-to-hand combat, how to use a sword, how to use a bow, how to use a spear, how to use clubs, all that. Then Aang teaches Katara waterbending, while he then teaches her how to do aggressive waterbending as well, being aggressive with it. But Aang would also give Bumi a gift, which is basically, he gives Bumi's organs and body, Bumi looks like he's still old, but the way he can move his body and muscles now, he can kind of enhance him using chi. Bumi, he can fight off an whole entire army of firebenders by himself now. Bumi looks like he's back in his prime, but Aang tells him, his body does have a limit on it, so don't wear it out. There's not a time limit, but it's a physical limit. Train a little bit of it, stop. That's it. I can give you permanent power. I can give you temporary power, but it lasts as long as you have that physical energy for you. So yeah. But yeah. I'm pretty sure the next arc now would probably be the one where they meet Haru, I think. And yeah, but also Katara gets arrested because Haru gets arrested. And it's a relatively safe-ish arc in my opinion. So yeah. But Aang pretty much also saved them like a winter solstice, like the spirits of it, like the interdimensional monster thing. This is the best way to describe it if I were to use the Netflix description. So yeah. But honestly, in my opinion, the entire Haru arc is basically irrelevant for Aang because, well, they're not strong. No one is strong to Aang. Like, this is Aang only using waterbending to like just no diff Ozai. This is how strong he is right now. Unless his body's perfectly healed, he can heal himself relatively well. He has fire and water healing. He's done it. He's done it to himself. His body's in peak condition. Like, oh, he died at 132 because his body was not in perfect shape because of the ice. He live longer than Kyoshi right now. Like, he can live to up to 400 years. And that's counting the ice years. So probably 300 or so if you pretty kind of physically. So Aang is living a good life. But also he can make someone else a new avatar if he needs to. It would just take up a lot of his power to do so. So, yeah. But yeah, the entire Haru arc is basically irrelevant despite it being a good arc, because Aang solves that arc with Katara quickly by actually having her use the aggressive waterbending he taught her. Which did include actually healing, because he's teaching her really well. At this point in the story, I think I'd say Katara is probably as strong as she is in book 2, like late book 2. She has that level of power right now, in my opinion. So yeah. Also, when it came to the waterbending scroll in the next arc or next story, Katara got that with Aang helping her. He didn't steal it; he actually just paid for it. So, yeah. Well, he paid for it as showing he's a waterbending master, and that having the scroll would enhance his skills. And because it's kind of scary, they approve of it. Next arc is Jet. So yeah. Now, honestly, I don't see this arc being much different besides Aang not being jealous of Jet. But it's on Katara that his chi is not evil, but it's not in the right place. And Aang's teaching Katara briefly, like kind of how to bend spirits and how to feel it. And Katara does recognize a bit of a darkness, or not darkness, a bit of a disturbance in it. And when it came to Sokka finding about the entire village of the Jet trying to destroy, Sokka actually tells Jet that he wants to fight him. Jet's like, well, what do you want to fight? What's the point of it? Sokka simply says, if I beat you, leave the village alone. We'll find another way to take on the soldiers. If you win, I can't stop your plan. It's not my job. But I want to challenge you to make a new plan. They simply smirks for saying, alright then, let's see it. And Sokka seemed basically like a clown. When the Jet went in to attack him, though, Sokka simply jumped over him, used a fan, hit him in the back of the knee, followed up with an elbow right to the jaw, which took out Jet right then and there. Sokka just learned doing the elbow thing from Aang. Aang kind of taught him on bending techniques, but told Sokka to speed it up to actually make it an efficient fighting technique. So he mixed in kind of like earthbending, like the earthbending that Kyoshi taught him, but also Suki. So Sokka pretty easily defeated Jet like it was nothing. This didn't impress Jet greatly, though, so, yeah. Now, we go on to about, I would say, well, probably just Jet making a whole new plan. But this time, Jet does not die. Aang, 1, healed him. 2, Aang made sure that they escaped. Which, actually, I need to do something real quick. So, yeah, so, after meet Jet and Sokka beats him, Sokka decides to actually send Jet on the same quest for humility as him. Jet tries to decline, only for Aang and she insists that Jet join them, so he can learn the same humility that Sokka had learned. Which would bring Jet to the gang. Spelled Gaang. So, yeah. Some people add 3 A's, which I understand, but I don't like it. So, yeah. Jet's arc honestly has changed, the plan changed, so Sokka beat him up relatively quickly. Then there's the Great Divide arc, where where Aang and his friends had encountered a refugee group who fighting over a right to cross an abyss, or a cavern, which honestly probably go, in my opinion, could go the same. I don't care about that arc honestly, or that story. So yeah. But then there's the entire storm arc where it's Aang taking a fishing job, but this time because Aang had a reputation taking down over 1,000 fire soldiers before knocking himself out into being frozen for 100 years. When the fish wrangler, or angler, I forgot the term, when he sees Aang, he actually doesn't mind him helping him to make sure that he can defeat 1,000 fire soldiers more. And Aang says he's sure that he can do it now, and not be locked away for 100 years. So, yeah. And the Blue Spirit arc, honestly, Aang isn't captured, so there's really no need for the Blue. Actually, I think it's later in the story. I don't care. But yeah, a lot of the story is kind of irrelevant right now until it comes down to the fortune teller, obviously. But yeah, it's a fortune teller right now, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, I don't see if you are having much changes besides Aang handling them a bit more responsibly. And they also meet Bato of the Water Tribe, where that was honestly well, like Aang isn't as childish in this arc. Because it's a longtime friend. Aang doesn't care. They're friends. Like, they didn't act childish when he met Boomy. He shouldn't act childish when they meet Bato. So, yeah. So, this arc is relatively Aang now betraying them, tells him he's going to go ahead. And they allow it. So, yeah. And this leads to Aang basically going around to see the fire soldiers and such. And he does meet Zhao. Because Aang actually decided that, I'm going to be upfront and beat the hell out of him. And he does just that. When Zhao tries to have a challenge for firebending, but Zuko actually watches from a distance and simply just knows that this is a bad idea for, and like, he knows that even it'd be a bad idea for his dad and Azula to gang up on him using firebending, because he's like he'd overwhelm them both. The way he describes it is that Aang has his dad's skill with Azula's force. So yeah. And Iroh simply says, no. He's more skilled than Ozai is, but Ozai has more force, which makes him seem more fluent. Iroh simply says, Aang may flat out be the best firebender we've ever seen. But he has Azula's force and your father's force. And Aang would prove that against Zhao, as one blast from Aang overwhelmed every amount of Zhao's bodily power. It was from Aang's one punch, which took down Zhao in that one go. And here's where Aang sees Zuko again, asking him if he like to test out his skill. And Zuko just felt taunted, but he fights Aang. Now, Aang pretty much doesn't even use firebending. He just walks up to Zuko and would use chi blocking martial arts, which I'm gonna give him this one. The fact that I think he learned how to do it. So he learned how to fight as well. So your blocking wouldn't be out of the picture in my opinion. I thought about that real quick. But using blocking martial arts, simply Zuko would go for a punch. Aang's kicking his wrist and kicking him in the ribs, following right after. Zuko's wearing armor, but Aang doesn't really care. He's not facing him. But by the end of the fight, Zuko's on the ground panting, and Aang simply says, "You did good." As Aang turns around before throwing him a scroll, this is what he learned from a Fire Nation avatar, but also a dragon and a lion turtle. Zuko and Iroh could learn a thing or two that could overthrow Ozai in there. But he simply tells Zuko, even if he used that against him, he still won't win, as Aang had beaten the lion turtle, the dragon, and the avatar. So no matter what Zuko tries, he won't win against Aang. And he just tells him straight up, you're not gonna beat me. Even if you master all that in one day somehow, you're not gonna beat me. And Aang keeps walking. Iroh smiles before picking up the scroll, hiding it in his cloak, and telling Zuko, "Let's go." So they don't actually stick with Zhao, but they follow a similar route for the sake of the plot. Except they had the Northern Air Temple. When Aang sees it, he still acts the same as in canon. But simply put, he finds Teo, and flies next to Teo with no contraption. Everyone's actually shocked by this, actually wondering if Aang has some contraption, but he says no. Simply put, I'm a mastered airbender. And a mastered airbender that can empty their mind and their skill, they achieve flight. As he then kicked his foot upwards once, and almost erased half the temple, but then used airbending to reconstruct it right then and there, even using metal bending, which they've never seen in an earthbender. So yeah, Aang's a whole different league. So yeah, if you're wondering why Aang has like metal bending, he was given subcategories by lion turtles, even if they didn't exist. They're like, you control all Earth now, which includes metal, I guess. So Aang had to learn how to do it on his own. So yeah. But here Aang decides that a lot of things could be helpful. So Aang decides to combine his water and earth his water and fire healing on Teo's legs, but also on but also just actually using chi bending to restore the power in them. Giving Teo the ability to actually walk again, But Teo just actually wants to stick with his chair because walking is a bit hard for him. So yeah. But Aang simply actually asks Teo's dad to allow him to come with him, as Aang thinks that having someone who knows the modern world better than him, Sokka and Katara, would be useful. And Jet's kind of chilling in the background, just actually kind of pouting, actually. Jet is kind of like on personal timeout, despite being trained by Sokka right now. But Sokka and Jet do meet Teo's dad, where it basically comes to the same conclusion. Some Aang isn't mad that Teo's dad is creating Fire Nation abilities. Instead, when a Fire Nation soldier comes up from that ground, Aang is hiding behind him. When they came up though, Aang kind of kicked him in the head, and the guy hit the ground with a giant bump swelling up on his head. Aang ended up getting a plan from his pockets, and Aang simply tells the dad, "Be ready." So with this, Sokka already had the rotten egg thing finished, so he's chill right now. But they have everything they need done now, so that's pretty good. But I think the next thing that they could do is probably just defeat the entire Federation army. But, how do see this going? So, Sokka and Jet and Teo's dad combined are able to give Teo's, flying chair a few additions to it by being able to drop slime bombs. Not as big as, the one the hot air balloon had, but bigger than the ones the people on the ground have. Along with Teo actually blind do good portion of the army, while Aang's hiding up in his chair. When Teo has a giant blast of flame fired at him, it just goes away somehow. They don't know how, but it does. But then immediately when one of the commanders fire at the balloon and the boy in the chair. Only Aang and Katara jump over them before Aang would yell to Katara, "Throw your water out." Katara has a giant jug of it on her back, which she's struggling to carry already, but she's like, okay, good. She throws it, Aang hits it with the blast of wind, putting the water everywhere, while him and Katara throw it all onto the flames. Not all of it's wiped out, but they use steam to actually will clear away the, Aang uses steam. Katara helps them by actually controlling the water particle in the steam, as they roll around and blind the entire army, allowing more and more slime and stuff to be thrown onto them by Teo, Sokka, and Jet. But eventually Jet would jump off of Sokka's hot air balloon, and swings back to the ground, and just hits the ground with a blast of air. Jet jumps off of it, from hitting in combat he was hitting in combat now, by using his hooks and his hands to give a fade to around 10 Fire Nation soldiers. And Aang himself just uses basic Tai Chi techniques to defeat an entire army by himself. Katara just does her thing with the water on the ground, which Aang had taught her to do. Because, once you're done using the water from plants, give it back to them. So, yeah. Now, Katara's learning how to do that as well as Aang helps her when she wants to give it back. So, yeah. Next up, Northern Water Tribe. Now, honestly, when they go here, honestly being much different. But also, they have Appa. Also, they have Jet, and Jet just comes from I think he's from the Earth Nation. So yeah, I'm gonna check actually. Yeah, Jet's from the Earth Kingdom. So with this, with kind of evidence from Jet and Sokka and Aang and Katara, they're able to, and Teo actually, because Teo's here. They're able to conclude that, the Fire Nation soldiers don't wear the same gear they have already, and Aang pointed that out when he saw the ship. So yeah, also there's records of Aang being there a while ago to actually learn waterbending from their current masters and Karuk. Then with at least actually Aang versus, what's his name real quick, hold up. This is where Aang meets Master Pakku and everything, and they have the giant feast and such. And when Sokka hits on Yue, well, Jet has game. He thought that Sokka, who did know a thing or two from Suki. But Sokka is actually moves on Yue to the point where she actually regrets, she wants to marry Sokka instead now. So, yeah. And, yeah. Looking to Pakku wanting, refusing to teach Katara waterbending, and insists that she learn healing. She just says she knows healing. She doesn't want to learn more of it. She's pretty good at it, actually. Pakku cut his hand using ice, says, "Heal me then." She spent the ice in the water, and then twirled around Pakku's hand, healing it majority of the way. Where there'd probably be a bit more healing done, but he's like, oh, fascinating. You didn't learn it anywhere else besides who? Instantly says, he knows every category of waterbending. He also has the ability to create ice, the ability to create water whips, ice spikes, these ice walls, ice barriers, there's water barriers, water walls, blood bending, which no one's ever seen before. Aang simply says, Paku, I'm going to show you a technique that I don't want anyone using, but I'm going to teach it to you and Katara because I feel like you'll be responsible. He looks at Paku, where Paku's hands goes in the air and waves just. He makes Paku forcefully waterbend. Paku actually asks Aang how he did that, and Aang says, that is psychic blood bending. And I do a lot stronger by combining it with my earth bending. I'm controlling the iron in your blood and your blood itself, giving me complete control over your body. Paku is actually shocked by this, and Aang teaches blood bending to Katara and Paku. And actually, this leads to Paku changing his opinion on Katara because he realizes that her force is very similar to his. Her skill is not there yet, but he's willing to enhance her skill. So with this Katara is now the first female student of Paku. While then Jet and Sokka enroll in like the training program for the Northern Water Tribe soldiers. And so it happens to have a bit of fragments. So he wants to create an armor for Jet and Sokka, and also enough strong weapons to contend Foundation soldiers. Did I say Sokka or Sokka? Sokka and Jet are being made armor and weapons by Teo, by using his dad's blueprints. And Teo's idea actually proves the Foundation soldiers' armor is a bit different. And this later out they give him help, they give him help to actually create better armor and weapons that can contend fire soldiers. And it works as Aang's metal and lava bending is very, 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 very proficient. So yeah. An ability of Aang's actually is that he can basically turn metal to lava or turn stone to lava as long as he has it. So he speeds this up a lot faster actually. It's like forever to chill. Aang just kicks ice around the blade, and the blade was cooled down around a minute or two. So it was pretty chill actually. Also using air and water bending, Aang can create dry ice. So yeah, but dry ice is something he doesn't really use because it's a deadlier ability. But yeah. So now what else? When it came to Zhao coming in and defeating or trying to defeat the Water Tribe, they're all a lot more advanced in weaponry, but not all of them. A lot of them are though, which allows them to actually fight soldiers relatively well. Paku would actually and Katara combined, they're want to fight this platoon. Students, you fight the one behind us, or the one ahead of them. Where this where Paku and Katara display their bloodbending abilities. Now with this, Paku is actually able to defeat a majority of them with this ability. While then Sokka, Jet, and majority of the fighters are actually shocked by Sokka and Jet's skill with their bare hands. Sokka seemed fluid and elegant, and somewhat ladylike, which is the Kyoshi warriors' teachings in him. Sokka would use metal fans, but also spears and clubs. While Jet sticks with using his hooks, but combines other styles with them, allowing Jet to actually defeat all of them relatively easily. But then Aang would display a bit more of a childish ability he had learned a long time ago. As soon as Zhao wants to fight him, Aang jumped in the air, creating basically a scooter on his feet, which absorbed the flames, allowing Aang to scoot around using a flame-propelled scooter. Aang actually laughs a lot while doing this as Zhao's being terrified by it, like, "What is this contraption? What is it?" But suddenly Aang had stopped, before saying, "This is going to hurt you a lot." Which is where I bring in Aang's grandson's fart humor. Aang would fart as all the flames shoot to Zhao, burning off his eyebrows and lighting his hair on fire. Zhao tries to jump away, only for him to kick in the chest and into a giant pillar of... into a giant glacier, is what I'm trying to say. But this led to, how was it? To Zhao sliding down it, unconscious, obviously. And Aang moves on to fighting more soldiers. But he started to use a scooter, by actually kind of kicking out scooters at them, flinging them into each other, kind of like pinball machines. In Aang's head, you kind of hear like the machine noises, like ding 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 ding, ding 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 ding. You win. So yeah. Well, let's actually see how strong Team Avatar is with hand-to-hand fighters, and Venture being Teo, who's flying above them, dropping off like bombs of water. That allowed Paku and Katara to keep fighting relatively well. But Zhao had recovered in secret, and ended up trying to kill a spirit. which Iroh knew Zhao would likely go for from Zhao's evil side. But Zuko, using his new teachings of Aang, he begins using the dragon style of firebending, and in one shot sent Zhao flying straight into the puddle. But because the spirits recognized the dragon's abilities, somehow Zuko activated the portal of the spirit realm, and Zhao was sucked in, getting Zhao stuck in the spirit realm. With this, one of the spirits badly damaged, which Zuko does take blame for. But Aang decides to tell Yue that he can take a bit of life out of her. It would not kill her, but she'd likely be sick and bedridden for the rest of her life. Because he cannot heal a spirit, he can add on life to it, but he cannot fully heal one, unless he has a portion of its body that's left, or its spirit, it said. Yue accepts this as Aang even used a bit of his spirit, which allows Yue to actually end up like Teo instead of being bedridden her entire life. Which is in mind. Teo even built her moving contraption. So yes, so this Sokka now is conflicted between Yue and Suki. But as they're about to leave, they do end up meeting Zuko and Iroh. Zuko admits that he's the one that hurt the fish, but Aang simply tells him, "No, do not worry about it. The fish is fine." But no, he actually asked them a question. "Did you settle on what you wanted to do?" Iroh simply says, "Prince Zuko, I don't know what you will do, but I will be joining the Avatar." Iroh flexes his arm in front of his muscle, saying that his belly's almost gone now from all the training he's been doing, so he'll join them to finish it up. Zuko would think about Iroh's words on how Iroh says he wants to pass down his will to Zuko, so Zuko doesn't end up like his father. That's kind of what he got from it. Zuko simply says, if he's going to inherit Iroh's will, he may as well stay with him. Iroh laughed, and he actually offered Zuko tea, as Zuko says, I don't want your hot leaf juice, uncle." Aang and Iroh tandem kick Zuko in the stomach, both of them like a back kick, telling him, "It's more than hot leaf juice." As Gyatso made Aang drink a lot of tea, so that's kind of his drink. So yeah. But as soon as they get on to like a contraption that Teo made, kind of makes Appa into like a boat of sorts. They combine technology from the hot air balloon into some flotation device for kind of like a traveling boat with a hood over it. So yeah. Also, there's wings on it that allows Aang to actually fly the boat, or fly Appa instead. So yeah, that's about this. This can pretty easily house probably around 10 people maximum. But then again, and this allows Aang to practice using airbending to enhance his like overall strength with it. So yeah. But then there's Omashu, where it's the cave of the two lovers, and Aang is in there with Katara. And the time when that comes out, it's kind of just Aang and Katara still kissing, but they have Aang is not stupid now. She has established a relationship with Katara. So yeah, also Zuko and Iroh established as traders, but also it said that Iroh and Zuko have been training a lot harder as a group, and the firebending style being different. Mostly about Avatar having blue fire, which intrigued Azula. So yeah. So yeah. But what else? They enter Omashu, which is relatively the same so far. They enter the swamp as well, where they meet like the swamp benders, which Aang actually learned from pretty well, and Katara as well. Zuko and Iroh keep on training with Aang, who teaches them like the dragon style and just more styles of firebending, or the more techniques of firebending. But actually offers to give them different abilities of firebending. Iroh would ask what these abilities are, and Aang says he'll give them abilities matching their techniques. But once he gives them abilities, once they've reached a certain affinity of firebending, and that yes, he can get abilities actually, he learned it, but no one has reached a certain affinity besides Iroh, and Iroh is basically probably a day away from it actually. Zuko and Katara are probably years away from their affinities. So Iroh has been training the entire day to actually want to know what this is. It's a spiritual connection. Of course, he'd want to learn it. The spiritual connection that Aang gave him was the ability to actually use his flames to heal. Also, Aang gave him the ability to change the color of his flames. Aang said he'll give him the sacred color of the flames that the dragons had taught him. Color of the rainbow flames. which means Iroh begins using, and Iroh's power would now match the power of Sozin's Comet Ozai. Actually, effortlessly, actually. But Iroh does know that this takes a lot of energy out of him, as Aang says, yes, it should last about as long as Sozin's Comet does. Which just intrigue Iroh to a decent degree. And Zuko was wondering what his special ability would be. Also, Aang told Iroh that from now on he could also likely generate lightning. Not as powerful as a lightning bolt, but still it's lightning. So yeah. Teo can also teach them how to conduct it properly from like steel and such. Electromagnesis is what Teo's teaching him basically. So yeah. Teo learned a bit more about electricity from Aang, which allowed him to study it. So yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Also, there's the Avatar Day thing where it's like Kyoshi's story, which allows Aang to actually bring forth Kyoshi and her memories. He's using chi bending and shows the entire memories of Kyoshi, which everyone knows the Avatar Day is kind of a false story. The entire holiday that they celebrated for the last few hundred years have been a lie. There's like a whole breakdown about it and everything, but there's no way it's a lie because it's memories. So yeah. Also, Jet and Sokka were beating down guards that ended up trying to stop it. And Tails like, oh no, don't attack the poor handicapped kid, psych, and just gut punch. That's about it. That's all like where it goes to. Like we see Tails like in the background of all like stories, just lifting 100-pound weights in one hand each, getting ripped. And Iroh is having like, this whole prison training arc right now. So yeah. What else? Avatar Day is over, but you go on to the Blind Bandit story. Well, in the Blind Bandit story, Zuko and Iroh decide to actually go out on their own. More to discover what parts of the Earth Nation are controlled by the Fire Nation. So this leads to Zuko alone story continuing, but this time Zuko actually announces who he is to the village, but says he's a defector. That he joined forces with the Avatar, actually proving that about the bounty poster. Well, these people actually accept him, but they're still a bit cold to him because Fire Nation. But they do accept him because he's part of the Avatar's group. Now, Zuko alone is less depressing, but Zuko understands why people are less open to him now. But when there are fire soldiers, Zuko pretty much looks at them and tells them, leave. So Zuko didn't cut his hair. That stupid haircut, it's kind of grown out right now. So Zuko's hair is a bit longer, like, in terms of length, I'd say how it is in the comics, where it's all put up and stuff. So it's about that long, but it's not put up. Zuko pretty easily takes down the entire group of firebenders with just nothing but raw strength. To increase his strength, to increase his firebending. As some of it's based off violence, some of it's based off physical skill. With this, Zuko's is pretty decently ripped as well. So yeah. Plus, with Teo's demands, Zuko is also creating like helping him create weapons and such. Where Zuko also gained 2 new broadswords. So yeah, well, the mask is the same. We've never been in the mask. And yeah. What else? The Blind Bandit story begins. When it came to the Blind Bandit story, Aang already knew seismic sense and knew that that's what Toph was using. Instead of Toph actually like needing to learn from Aang and her trained as a group. But Aang found badger moles to help them both train to learn their affinities. Aang didn't know what those were properly. He knew he'd heard of them, but never knew that they could train him at earthbending. So Aang learned, and he mastered earthbending with badger moles, basically. But in that time, he taught Toph perfect seismic sense, combined with metal bending. So, yeah. So Toph enjoyed learning. So yeah. Katara's currently learning like he's mastering healing right now with like with Jet and Sokka, and Tails' legs because still he's not used to walking all the time. He's hurting himself from time to time. So yeah, with Tails' clumsiness with walking, and then Jet and Sokka's constant pain. Well, she actually helps them a lot and has mastered her healing pretty well. And already mastered it, so yeah. Iroh setting like bars and using his flames to heal. Like, oh, are you Firebender soldier? I was like, oh no, no, I was a candidate to become one, but I never made it because I wasn't a strong bender. I kind of just kept training when I'm bending, but never tried to be one again. I was attempted one, but I should change my ways. So you gotta give him a pass in this small town of where they are. I forget if it's Omashu or not. But yeah. But yeah. Now going on, and well, first off, we're just going to the library arc, which I do think is very sad. But when they find the professor that leads that led in the spirit desert, well, one, Aang like stomped it out of the ground when they got near. Like he just stomped the ground once and was shot straight up in the air, and Aang made sure that it could not fall because they're in the desert. There's sand benders and stuff. Yeah, which Aang can do. So yeah, they go in there, and when it came to them trying to kidnap Appa, well, Toph in this one actually throws them all away. Like even if it's sinking, she's like, Aang has it. I know it. So yeah, like Aang kind of told his group, even if you're not sure, always rely on me. I don't care what happens, just rely on me. And Toph takes that to heart. I save Appa over saving your friends, which Aang's proud of actually. Couldn't end up like punching the wall. Wall as a giant owl attacked him. Aang simply grabbed it and sent it into the spirit realm. The professor's like, no, leave me here. I don't need to go. And he's like, oh no, you need to go, so I'm gonna give us a boost. Anyway, the ground is kind of broken up by, well, stone, and they're brought forth to the center. The professor actually say, what? All my books are up here now. Thank you, Aang. Gets a giant bag, somehow like a comically large one, and drags it through to drags it all to his home. So, yeah. And the Firebenders all defeated, and, yeah. There's really, there's no the desert story, which, yeah. They also find the Serpent's Pass, which leads I don't know if it's this one, but I think it's Toph where he's like, oh, Sokka, thank you for saving me. Toph will probably have that moment here, I believe. So, yeah. Also, they're in Ba Sing Se, see the Earth King, but, well, the Dai Li are trying to stop them. But Aang and Jet are immediately aware of this, mainly Jet. Because, well, his rebels are here, and they tell him about everything that they need to know. Or simply put, Zuko and Iroh meet them here. They've been undercover in the reason, they're the main reason that Aang's here. Then they came to the Jasmine Dragon. Jet and his soldiers, or Jet's rebels, have been working there as like a giant tea shop. Zuko still goes undercover as Lee, but Azula also knows that Zuko and Iroh are here. So, yeah. They also meet Judy. But the Dai Li, onto them, like Lake Lao guy. For Lake Lao guy, Jet and Sokka and not Sokka, probably not. I say Jet, Teo, Jet's rebels, and Katara handle that arc, or handle Lake Lao guy. Because I'm finding it being a hard thing to do for them. Because that Jet right now is really strong. Like with hands alone, he can take down a few dozen soldiers. And Jet does just that with the Dai Li. Like Aang and Toph are much stronger earthbenders than they are. And they're cleaning shop. So yeah, so Teo, Jet, Katara, and Jet's gang, or Jet's rebels, pretty easily clear shop of Lake Lao guy with the Dai Li. What was his name? Long Feng. Long Feng fights Jet, and they're more or less not equals, but Jet does not die. Instead, Jet is actually able to land a fatal blow on Long Feng. This is like the one, instead of Appa's Lost Days being the bloody episode, but it's Jet versus Long Feng. Jet even impaled him and kind of cut him up a few times. Where Jet is hitting stomach, like right in the pit of his stomach, with just a giant boulder. He's not going to die because, well, one, his body's a lot more enhanced because of Aang. Because Aang knowing he's a fight bender, so Aang gave him a physical limit of enhancement, being for same for Sokka. But Katara has also healed his body enough to the point where his endurance is really high, so is his durability. His rebels carry him out of there for Teo, who gives him brief treatment. But this does lead to Katara needing to find water to heal him. And she does just that on the roof of Lake Lao guy, basically. On the roof for the dungeon of Lake Lao guy. So, yeah. Jay's getting healed pretty good, actually. But going on again, we probably go on to, like, probably, I would say, probably Zuko versus Azula. Azula is aware that they are there. So when it came to Azula confronting Iroh and Zuko, Iroh simply looked at Azula before telling her, "You're a lost cause to me. I still love you as family, but you're lost. And honestly, you and your father are far below me in power, and it pities me to hurt those weaker than me. You fight Zuko, who's stronger than you as well, because I know he holds no such morals as I do. But his morals are far better than yours, so what he does now is up to him." As Iroh walks up, pretty easily dispatching Mei and Ty Lee. Like, Aang's a chi blocker. He knows how to do it. He's really good at it. So, Ty Lee, he grabs her and just throws her into a wall, and then Mei can't really hit him at all. He pretty much just puts her in an armbar and throws her to the ground, and walks off. So, yeah. Now Azula tried to use flames against Zuko, but Zuko would immediately just be able to actually run through them like they're nothing, and land a kick on Azula's stomach. Well, flames shoot her into a wall, and the lightning bolt that she would use to knock out Aang for days, Zuko would use that on her to knock her out for, actually not for days, for weeks or months, actually. It doesn't knock her out for weeks or months because Zuko has mercy on her, like Iroh said that he does. But she's out after like a week and a half. And with that, she's reported back to Ozai. Or brought back to Ozai. Ozai has heard that Zuko was the one that defeated her. And Iroh simply says that he was above her and Ozai by now. So Ozai, knowing that his brother's words are likely not wrong, believes that, well, having a threat as strong as Iroh out there now, along with the Avatar who's obviously mastered all 5 elements, he may not win this war. That's sarcastic in his mind, him for his soldiers. So yeah. Also, Aang had met Guru Pathik at the Eastern Air Temple to try to control Aang's Avatar state. Aang simply says he does not need the Avatar state. Guru Pathik actually asks Aang if he knows what the chakras are. But Aang says yes, he does. He does not want them. It means he has to sacrifice everything he loves. He will not sacrifice his friends and Katara, especially not Katara. At this point, Aang and Katara don't told anyone, but they are dating. The tunnel of lovers has changed their outlooks on life, actually. So yeah. Now, Guru Pathik doesn't believe Aang until Aang shows off going to the Avatar state on his own, but he's not in full control of it. Now he's closing in on it, and Guru Pathik was basically of no help to him. This Guru Pathik kind of just smirks before telling Aang that Gyatso did want it on him. So, yeah. So, yeah. Now, this one when it came to like Aang's awakening story in the beginning of Book 3, this one there's really no awakening. Actually, they've been doing a bit of planning. We also see new members. In this time skip, Aang had trained Katara Toph, Zuko so hard they have found their awakenings or their peaks in their bending abilities right now, or for the peaks in their current bodies for bending. Until their body is able to grow and control the amount of flames that they have or water that they can control right now, they're at their peak. Katara had learned psychic bloodbending by using it to catch food for her and her friends. While Aang himself has already mastered everything, but Zuko himself had learned every ability of firebending, even wanting to learn healing actually. So his uncle Aang and Katara can heal, but what if they're out? Teo can only do so much, and he's not really an injured guy. So who's gonna heal them? He can. No one would expect it. They're the healers, so they'd be targeted. Aang would nod, think something that, and teach it to Zuko. Also, he would grant him combustion bending, which he has to learn on his own, and cannot give him mastered combustion bending. But yeah, also Zuko can actually generate lightning now, like his uncle. So, yeah. What else? These guys themselves as financial citizens, but Zuko and, the ones they can't do it are Aang. Actually, no. Actually, yeah, not Aang, because Aang has hair from time to time, and he had hair in the east, in the Northern Water Tribe. So, hold up. The only people that are like good candidates as citizens would likely be Katara. It'd be Katara, Sokka. Which no, I'd say Sokka, Toph, Haru, and Suki. Guys, what Haru and Suki? There's like a 3-week break. Sokka needs Suki at some point, and Haru, he's cool. So yeah. So instead of doing whatever they did, they broke them out of prison. Or like on a prison train transport ship, while Haru was just doing his thing, and they brought him back. So yeah, Haru was just recruited. Suki was broken out of a ship. So yeah, but sure does see how Sokka's skill is so great now, to the point where it even can outmatch hers. They even have like a small sparring match, and Sokka pretty easily outmatched her like it was nothing. Like, you know what she did? She did to the Fire Nation soldier guard. He did that to her, but a lot more flirtatiously. So yeah. And Sokka eventually does this find out like a sword master, and even gets a sword from like a meteor. Well, the master, like, what's the name of the master? I don't want to call him just the master. So Sokka's master Pyondao will basically teach Sokka like more basics of the sword. Sokka's mastered many weapons, but the sword is one he is lacking right now. And he asks Sokka why that's the one weapon he's lacking. Sokka simply says, well, he has another teammate who's coming here soon. He uses swords. Sokka feels like he's been slacking because that person uses swords, and he thinks that there's no need for another sword user. That's why he prefers clubs or iron fans. But eventually, Suki and Jet arrive, and Suki and Jet decide to train under Pyondao occasionally. Well, Jet all the time. Suki and Pyondao can't. So Suki and Sokka can't do it all the time because they're scratching for citizens to gather info. But Aang, Katara, Teo, Zuko, and Iroh, they all hang back as they all train their bending. While Teo just learns a bit more about, like, he gets a bit more technology from the Fire Nation, since they're the most advanced nation at this point. So yeah. And the issue walks using crutches instead of like a chair to go around and get a few random items by buying them and such. But yeah. So Pyondao was able to teach Sokka, Jet, and Suki a few good things actually. The beach storyline actually. Well, instead of actually going to the beach, well, Azula is recovering. Mai and Tyler are at her side, and Mai and being nice with Zuko. And Zuko sees Aang and Katara's relationship as actually dating right now, and takes notes from them. Same for Suki and Sokka. He takes notes from them. Well, notes he's been taking from Firebending as well. He knows how to act. He knows how to act. So with this, him and Mai are doing good actually. They don't break up or anything. They do good. So yeah. So yeah. But then it goes on to Toph doing her scams and such, which Aang and Katara don't approve of, which probably goes about the exact same. So yeah. What else? Probably, I think it'd be like Aang's anxiety and such. You making it better of him for like the Nightmares and Daydreams episode. For that one, I feel bad for Aang, honestly. So yeah. But still, this one Aang isn't as scared because he knows he's stronger than Ozai, and he's positive he's stronger than Ozai. He knows this. So yeah. So yeah. And eventually they do head to the Western Air Temple, and this is where Sparky Boom Man is and such, or Combustion Bending guy is. But at this point, well, Aang had taught Zuko enough about Combustion Bending. Zuko was given it by Aang. At the point where Zuko and Aang Zuko and Sparky Boom Man are about equal in skill for Combustion Bending. Point where Zuko is able to blow off one of his legs, which is everybody seen, but instead of being bloody, it bore on him getting hit like the leg with an explosion. Then the rebel crushing said, "quote unquote" leg. So it's covered up by rubble, which everyone would assume, like if you're watching TV, it'd be covered up. But those mature viewers would know that it's gone. But Zuko kind of jumps up in the air before using his lightning abilities, breaking down the entire part of the temple they were on, and destroying Sparky Boom Man permanently. Although then Teo would fly by and catch him. So yeah. But then it comes to like Aang and Zuko learning firebending together from the original teachers, so to say. But this time it's Aang, Zuko, and Iroh doing it. As they do it, all Aang does is sharpen his already sharpened sword. Zuko, all he does is now will clean off his sharpened sword, and Iroh, well, he now has a fully molded sword. This is a bit clouded by his morals, but once Iroh learn how to collide it with his once he learned how to collide Firebending's talent with his morals, his sword plus Zuko's sword plus Aang's sword were now fully refined, making him the greatest firebenders that planet had ever seen. Roku even says he wishes he could have learned their level of firebending. So yeah. Now for the captured invasion force, where like Azula, Ty Lee, and May on the boat or on the prison ship. Well, Jet, Haru, and Suki are the ones in Sokka, but yeah, they're like those are the four that are like hiding as guards. Now, when it came to like Azula recognized Haru somewhat as like a member of Avatar's Aang's group from like reports, which led to Haru being able to he's not able to beat her, but he's able to hold her off to a decent degree. And Ty Lee tried to block his chi point or his like bending abilities. Instead, she just kicked him side of the neck by Suki, who took her out in that one kick. Suki simply says, Iroh and Aang gave her all the notes she needed to beat Ty Lee. All it is that one well-placed kick. So yes. So that's Suki kind of made Ty Lee hit her knees, just like drooling and passed out. And then, well, Sokka is able to swing aboard because of Jet's help, as Jet is able to break all the locks for the Water Tribe soldiers. Hold up. So Hakoda basically sees how fine of a warrior Sokka is. Sokka could like take down their entire force by himself now, how honed he is. So, yeah. Now, Katara, when it came to soldiers that killed her mother, that probably goes about the same as in canon, just less anger, in my opinion. So, yeah. Also, when it came to the Ember Island players, I don't think it's happening as the same as in canon. So, yeah. But now, the final confrontation story. It came to that. Well, one. Aang just sort of walked through the army, moving to the side until he met until he met, Ozai. Ozai was ready, saying, Are you really ready to defeat me, Avatar Aang? Aang says, Oh, no, it's his turn, actually. As Aang kind of went to the side as Zuko walked up. Zuko simply says, he'll do it himself, he'll defeat Ozai. Now with this, the White Lotus assembles, and they pretty easily clear out an entire area by themselves, being Ba Sing Se and Omashu. Azula decides to attack Aang from behind, but Katara decides to take on the fight against Azula for herself. May eventually just took behind Ty Lee with hitting her back the head with the handle of her dagger, which took out Ty Lee immediately right then and there. And May just surrendered. While then, Sokka, Jet, and Toph take down warships all on their own. And it came to Sokka trying to hang on for dear life and wants to help Toph. Well, Jet's hook blades come in clutch right here, being able to actually wrap around an area, hold them in place, and with his advanced strength, he pulls up Toph and Sokka. Sokka had another idea. It's just he just yelled for Teo and Haru. Teo's Teo and Haru flying through the air as Teo's pulling off pieces of like blimps and pulling them down to the ground, or pulling off pieces of those steamroller things that go the one of the wall of Omashu and stuff, or Ba Sing Se. Him and Teo going around taking off pieces of that to throw them at people. Well, Sokka kind of had the Teo and Haru flying him down, and when Sokka finds his sword, he drags it to the ground until eventually he goes fast enough to he will cut a decent portion of a blimp in half, sending it flying down to a giant group or platoon of Fire Nation soldiers. So Sokka then jumped down, allowing his dad to see him, Jet, Haru, Toph, Teo as a group pretty easily able to defeat anyone in their path. So yeah. With this eventually we go Zuko versus Ozai. Ozai is trying to launch any attack he can, but Zuko has a natural physical counter to it, not even using bending. He just blocks it using his raw body. But eventually Zuko has a secret technique that Aang taught him. This technique will block all your chi points, means by igniting them, drowning them, bursting them, or permeating them. And he plans on incinerating his fathers, destroying all sense of bending in his body. Aang calls this the bending punch. Basically, it resembles a 1-inch punch, but you infuse all your power into it, which can take out for days if you don't have enough chi in your body. But once Zuko executed it, it immediately wiped out all the chi in Ozai's body, making him hit the ground. And Zuko has a single burn mark on his body from his fight with Ozai. Ozai's covered in multiple burn marks and bruises. Zuko didn't even use bending once until that final punch. I'm actually just not even pass out. He just wobbles a bit. It leans against Katara, who heals him, and then the fight's over. Ozai lost all sense of bending, and he's locked now in a cell, never waking up. Zuko didn't kill him, but still, with no chi left in his body, with it all being killed away, in his heart, it's just beating and beating. No motion allowed in his body. All his heart can do is beat. All his organs can do is function, but they don't do anything that allows him to move. It just flows blood, and that's it. Leaving Ozai technically as a vegetable now. No, when it came to Azula versus Katara, that fight was honestly one-sided. Katara simply just used water in the atmosphere, and just wow, the main center of the fight. Azula just got too close. Psychic blood bending took over. That was the fight we're doing there. So yeah. Now the story gets complicated with Sokka's relationships. One, Teo and Yui got a bit closer, I'd say, because Teo has to like invent things for her, and so. So I'd see it being Teo and Yui, Sokka and Suki. Sokka does not die the way he does in canon. Sokka lives on pretty long, actually. What else? Haru probably kind of does his thing. I'd say that happening. Haru just lives his life. Zuko. This is very complicated with him. Actually, well, I'll phrase this. Haru was able to somewhat live as a citizen, so I would see that Haru is actually able to marry Jun or June, the girl who had a crush on Lee, because Zuko marries Mai instead. But yeah. So Aang, Katara, Sokka, and Suki. Jet is single. Jet ends up doing his thing. Teo and Yui. Zuko and Mei. Iroh dies of old age. Toph and... This is a hard one, actually. Hold up. Actually, why not? Why not Toph and Jet? They're like the two cool-headed people in the group, but also the ones who are actually the most badass of the group besides Aang in this one. So I can see it being Jet and Toph, actually. Then it's Haru and Jin, or June, whatever her name is, and Suki and Sokka. So yeah, the gang kind of marries into each other, basically. One who isn't married in the group is Iroh, because he's old. But yeah. But Iroh lives long enough to see each wedding and all their kids. So, hold up. So, in Legend of Korra era, the gang has all their kids. Now, Aang and Katara have their kids, Tenzin, Kaya, Bumi. Not much has changed besides all of them having the capacity to use more than one bending technique. Like, Bumi has the ability to actually use firebending. But also, he specializes in combustion bending. Tenzin specializes in airbending, but has a bit of technique in spirit bending. You have Kaya, who specializes in water bending, but has a bit of technique in flight. And then we have Sokka and Suki, because I like this theory. Their son is Varric, but this time he's not much of a douche. So yeah, Sokka and Suki all stay together a lot longer, so he's raised right and is not a douche. So like I said before. Then Jet and Toph have their kids Su and Lin Beifong. Toph isn't in the woods, but she's more or less just out in the mountains with Jet, and they live with I believe Su. Lin does visit them here and there because Jet makes her and scares her. So yeah, like Toph isn't scared. Like she's like, I'm a scary person. Your dad is just cool and calm. You never know if he's mad. So if he's scary, he's scary. You know everything about me. So just wait. Just wait for your dad to get home. See what happens. So because Lynn never knows what may happen, she's terrified of her dad. Sue knows what she's gonna get with her dad because she's just the same as him, but she's scared of her mom. So kind of vice versa. Then the nice one's scared of the mean one's scared of the nice one. So yeah. Then Teo and Yui have kids that have twins that they name after the moon and water spirits, Tui and La. And then we have Zuko and Mei who have Izumi. And then we have Haru and Jin or Jun or June, Jean. They give birth to their son Tyron, named after Haru's dad Tyro, who died of old age. In the Legend of Korra era, Aang is alive as the Avatar, living up to his hundreds. He's about like 130. He was like that age when his kids were like 12. This is where they're in their 40s now. And he's about like, I'd say 170-ish, around there. But he's like 170, but he's like 70. But Aang looks like he's probably like mid-late 40s. He has gray hairs and stuff, but he looks a lot better than Katara does. Like if you met them side by side, you assume Katara may have been his mother. So yeah, Aang looks that good for his age. Well, he did choose a waterbender to give this Avatar by giving them the ability to lightning turtles that he'd met, but she met them all over again. They gave him a bit of energy that he's supposed to pass on. If he keeps it, it'd kill him. So yeah, so the energy passes on is given to Korra still. But this time Aang simply says that he'll teach her when he thinks that she has all the basics mastered. The basics. When she's past the basics, he'll teach her. So yeah, so she has her own team Avatar. Korra's story is not much different. But when it came to like Zahir breaking out of like prison, this is where Aang took over her training. Or actually, probably not then. He took over her training when it came to Unalaq, actually. Or Tunrock. Not Tunrock, it's her dad. Hold up. Yeah, Aang likely took over when her Avatar cycle was basically like in the arc where it was destroyed. Aang took over just before that, and she has pretty good basics down, actually. So this allows her to fight on par with the majority of her villains. Thing is, though, Aang has the power of all her villains times 1,000. So yeah, Aang's still strongest in his verse, while he's not even the current Avatar. He has all the power still. He has the vessels and stuff, but Korra is also a vessel of the Avatars. There's two existing at once because of Aang's power. I was like, what about the Lion Turtles? What about them? Does anyone find them? Yes! But the thing is, Aang has a new temple. The temple is called, I would say, the Hemi Hemi Air Temple. Or Hemi Bending Temple. Where all the Lion Turtles basically live in their own certain sections. And in those sections, you would learn bending of said Lion Turtle. But Aang has his own section, kind of he's a Lion Turtle, where come to him to master your power. So yeah. So he came to Zahir. Aang personally handled Zahir. He personally handled him. Because there's a lot more bending on the world, because Aang let out a lot of energy when he gave Korra an Avatar, bending was an audio phenomenon that happened previously. So the people that learned how to bend, that happened probably the same time as in canon. That happened when Korra was born, basically. Like, there's like a few characters who get it by accident, because the energy's still in the air, but that just happens. It's a phenomenon that happens around the world, but it's very rare still. But after this, we're going to get in the story here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe for more. Adios.